Hi! Hello and welcome to Estella Canovia Shares. This is Yanling, or you can call me Estella as well. So today's video is actually going to be some pretty hard truths. And if at any point in time it causes discomfort, I invite you to look at it, observe it. What's going on within you that's creating this form of resistance. But if it really is uncomfortable, feel free to click off this video. It's up to you really. So this is actually a Facebook post that I wrote that I feel is very beneficial to especially the Asian culture, especially parents of the older generation, and especially youths who struggle so much with suicidal ideation, with so low self-esteem, with thinking and bordering between trying to live and trying to die. So this is most probably pretty controversial, but I feel the need to share this. It's really important. And as I read through it again today, this post, I realized that maybe there will be a lot of people who will find benefit and inspiration through this sharing. So that's why I'm doing it here now for all of you. And I hope you enjoy this. Number one. How and why majority of parents in the society today aren't good role models for their children, especially those of the older generation. And this is also a message for people who are suicidal or feel hurt by the world, by their parents, by their lovers, by their friends. Okay, take a deep breath before we go on, because it's gonna be quite a ride. Always remember to breathe, no matter what. No matter where one is based in the world or are from a certain distinct culture, there is a universally accepted belief that all parents want the best for their children. Agree? Unfortunately, the sad reality is that things like degrading a child's self, criticizing and limiting almost every single behavior of a child, and not acknowledging a child's talents or emotions is mostly how most of us grew up from the environment. And in some cultures, things like inflicting physical abuse, physical pain, is accepted as a form of punishment that even authorities will turn a blind eye to, simply because it's a family matter. Unless the child is like heavily neglected or like not having a proper place to stay, having food to eat, will the authorities then step in? Otherwise, things like verbal abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse, psychological abuse, physical abuse are all highly accepted, especially more so in Asian cultures. And they are more likely to use this thing called the cane. Not sure how many of you have experienced that. I grew up with the cane, literally. At the end of the day, as long as you put food in the child's mouth and have a shelter over their heads and try and provide them a good education, means that that's the best for the child, right? No. Any form of abuse is all abuse, and it damages a child's self-esteem. And when a person has no self-esteem, they automatically become a failure who hates the world, or they come out and attack the world, which is how most of us live actually. And why are people unfit to be parents continuing to be parents? Well, simply because they are unconscious and they believe that that's what humans do. Anyone that's conscious and aware that they are a product of the unhealed parent or parents, as well as skewed societal system, would never, ever have children until they become fully conscious and have completely come back into integration with oneself, into what an integrated human being is. And because they understand children are like sponges, they absorb so much unconsciousness that they eventually become unconscious themselves, which is the majority of humans. And we end up then living out a projected life that the world has already spewed into us, creating a false sense of self and a heck load of insecurity. And at the end of the day, we still blame society and everyone for everything. I mean, why not, right? Because they are the ones that did that to us. And yes, in a way, we are highly, highly, highly responsible actually for our own lives. And we do create our own lives. Our inner life reflects our outer life. But people cannot know that. People cannot know that because they have not become conscious. They are not yet conscious and aware and awakened to the possibility of a spiritually integrated human life. So we can only become very responsible and very sovereign in our being after we have awakened and become conscious, essentially. So before we become fully conscious, we will always operate from the past. From how we were brought up, from what our parents or guardians taught us, from what society told us to believe in, from what teachers said about us, and from every single negative thing we've ever heard about ourselves and others, and from all the judgments, comparisons, condemnations, simply for just being ourselves. And we will always live in the past and from the past until we become fully conscious and integrated as a whole. I'm reading from my post, so. And it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of gentleness to unravel piece by piece by piece by piece. Loads of self-compassion and a lot of ability to learn to hold our own safe space, to speak our truths, and to find people who are receptive to our pain. It all takes time. It took me, this is a personal sharing, it took me about 3 years and like 500 tries. Okay, maybe it's exaggerated. I'm not sure if it actually took 500 tries. Take it with a pinch of salt. Before my own mother's heart opened up and she could put down her first wall of defense against her own emotions. And it took another 2 years, another 300 tries, again, take it with a pinch of salt, before she finally stopped, like totally stopped degrading me, automatically for good, because she became conscious of herself gradually through the process of my journey with my parents, with my family. And it took another year and a half before my mother could finally accept my intense emotions. And crazy explosion of tears, because I cry really, really, really often. It's actually really healing. And similarly, I had to go through lots of trial and error to see what worked and how I could get my message across. And I needed to learn how to become more authentic and to accept the various ways in which my mother showed her love, and to stop expecting her to be a certain type of parent. I needed to voice out my truths multiple times. Every time I repeated myself, it was like 20 times, like especially when I was triggered, because that's the times when, for some odd reason, I was both in pain and really, really awake, like spiritually. So those are the times when a lot of spiritual truths come to me. It's like what they say, the hellish of times, you get the most insight from, the most juice from. So it's all necessary. Pain is necessary. And now I do still repeat myself to my parents, but it's cut down a lot more. As long as I cool myself down and like, okay, I can translate this message, and my parents can hear me. They have started to learn to listen more deeply, beyond the ego, beyond the words as well. And for me, I needed to learn to ask them to give me what I needed, which takes a lot of guts. And if they cannot do that, I had to learn to meet my own needs. I had to learn to break my own illusions and my expectations, as well as a whole heckload of unconsciously deep-seated beliefs of what a parent, mother, and even society is supposed to be like. So a lot of acceptance, forgiveness, and letting go was needed. And oh my god, was it painful, because transformations and processes can be painful. There is attachment to it, so. But it was all a huge relief. It's like liberation. To know that ultimately my own life is in my own hands and no one else's. I've also been through depression and suicide, so I may not understand everything you go through. I may not know your situation, but god damn it, I know what it's like to border between life and death constantly, and to experience that void of emptiness, of such extreme self-hatred and low self-esteem. I know that has been with me since I was incredibly young. So I understand that. I really do. But it took me a lot to come to where I am today. I was like suicidal since I was age 11, 12. And then I went to psychotherapy until I was like 16. And that year changed my whole perspective of what life was, of how humanity and society worked. My god, schools don't teach you what you need to learn to be a human, to learn to be what you need to be so that you can live the life that you need to live. So it was only when I was 17 when I went to explore alternative methods of healing and spirituality, as well as integration of spiritual psychology that I then understood my life purpose, who I am, what I'm meant to do here, and how I can then further become authentic and bring it all together into wholeness and oneness. And especially more importantly, bring in presence into my daily life. That is very, very necessary for us to keep sane and not be controlled by the ego or the mind, because it's very easy to go there, extremely easy to go there. So a lot of acceptance and forgiveness was needed on my part. My mind, my body, my heart, my soul, it was all a relief to know that my own life was in my own hands. And what a relief to know that I can always choose to be conscious and make a new choice, especially when I feel helpless and lost. That there is always a voice within me, a space within me that is compassionate, that is loving and accepting. I call that the God self, or the higher self, or the guide. I don't really care about the labels. It's really just a lot more about how it works for you. And it's always possible to bring in compassion, acceptance, and new ways to live, actually. No longer have to succumb to the past or the unconsciousness. And what a relief it is to live from that space, of space itself, right? Okay, I know I look a bit scary when I do that. So I just wanted to share that anything is possible. And truly, we can never ever expect or want our parents to love us in a healthy manner if they don't right now. Because they most probably never experienced it themselves because of their own unconscious conditioning already embedded in them from ages 0 to 18. And to ask them to change right now would be impossible from where they are at. Of course, they can change if they want to, but let's not expect. We can only change ourselves and hopefully end up influencing our parents to become more consciously loving and accepting people too. This is the best gift we can give to ourselves. It is to love ourselves and to live for ourselves and no one else. And to no longer have to live in a helpless state, thinking that the answer is always on the outside or from the people who are supposed to love and accept us. No. Answer is always within. And it's highly likely they never ever will. And if we learn to accept this truth, because they simply cannot, that they have been that way since young, that they were deprived of love, acceptance themselves. Because how can someone who doesn't know how to love themselves love another person? And how can they possibly know what's best for you when they don't even know what's best for themselves? And how can they know who you are when they haven't even looked at themselves in the mirror so darn clearly? So make life easier for yourself and choose to accept this truth. It's painful, but it's so worth it. And when you have accepted this truth, life gets easier for you. Because the only person you ever have to be responsible for is you. Yeah, you. And that's all. So choose to become conscious of your pain, to understand who you are and come to love and accept all of who you are. So please don't choose to die because of someone else. Only choose to die if you can no longer live with who you are becoming. And if you cannot live with it, surrender surrender. And a form of liberation or enlightenment will come. Because only by acceptance of reality and the truth will liberation and peace that you want come to you. And it's an ego death. It's an identification and attachment death. And you will come to influence those that don't love themselves to start wanting to love themselves. If you so choose to start choosing you and no one else. Because only you are highly capable of loving yourself the way you want to be loved. Of being held, seen, accepted, touched, and heard. Only you are able to validate, acknowledge, and fully accept all of who you are. And you are the very person that you've been looking for all this damn time. So choose you. I even wrote a PS at the end. If at any point in time in my life, between when I was 14 to now, almost 23, if I had given up fully and let myself die to the point of no return, talking about physical death here, then I wouldn't have experienced the warmth, the love, the care, the concern, the acceptance, the understanding, and forgiveness I do now with my own family. Of course we still have problems. Of course we still have arguments and a lot of egoic reactions and a lot of, well, disagreements and sometimes occasional pain and disrespect. It still happens. It still happens. It's where I see it as, again, another lesson to come back, as a reminder to come back to me, to come back to acceptance, to come back to loving me and choosing me and only caring for me. Because believe me, this is not a narcissistic thing. When you really, really love yourself, like holistically, mind, body, spirit, your emotions, your thoughts, your body, everything about you, your personality, your strengths, your weaknesses, people will come to love you. You will start to be accepted by people because you accept yourself first. And I have come to realize that at times when I don't love myself, it will just be reflected in the way other people treat me. So if I feel like I'm being disrespected and not loved for, not cared for, it's because I wasn't caring and loving myself. Essentially. And you know how liberating that is? To know that everything ultimately is in your own hands and it's never like on the outside, it's never like something uncontrollable. And I'm not talking about control here, I'm speaking about how we have the power within to accept everything from a space of neutrality. I don't mean accept as in like let people walk all over you. No. Accept as in this moment, this situation presents itself. What is going on within me? Can I bring in acceptance? Can I bring in love, peace, relaxation, and presence from a deeper part of me? Can I bring that in now, at this moment? Even if not to comfort anyone else, to comfort me, to comfort myself. And when you live from that space, life gets easier. There's no need to be anything, no need to do anything, no need to prove anything anymore. Because ultimately, you're just you. You're just choosing you. You're choosing to honor yourself in ways that no one else can ever honor you. You know, that feels amazing. Of course, I'm not that way 24/7. I'm not a freaking saint. I'm I'm no saint. But still, it's possible. And it really, really is. So if I had given up at any point in my journey, I would not meet amazing people I can call now as my friends. As I don't even call them my friends. I just call them people who are so amazing and lovely, and I'm just grateful for them. And they are grateful for me. And there's no like age limit, there's no label limit. It's like my friends come from all over the world, and they are of different ages and have different personalities, different judgments, different ways of being. And yet I'm so thankful for each and every one of them. They provide value to my life as they feel I provide value to theirs. And I don't meet them often, you know. I don't have like a very close-knit kind of group and stuff like that. But we are always in each other's hearts. We do talk to one another, we catch up with one another, we share about life with one another. And I feel that if you have that, that's already amazing. And because I'm someone that is so lonely and would literally in all the YouTube comments say, oh, I have no friends. But it's not that I don't have any friends. It's just that they're not as close as I want to be with them. But you know what? It's fine because they support me. They see my content on social media. They check up on me once in a while. You know, most of the people that I have been friends with for like the past 3-4 years, I only speak to them like, I don't know, once a month or like once in 2 months. It's really rare how often we speak to one another. But when we are in each other's presence, we honor that time, we cherish that time, we appreciate each other for being in each other's lives. And why is that not enough? That is enough. If you know how to be your own best friend, you literally don't need other people anymore. I mean, it would still be amazing to have other people in your life, of course, but you don't need them in a way of dependency. So yes, it did take me a heck load of years since I was 17. So that's like, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, and I'm still evolving. I definitely won't stay where I am right now at this stage of my life. I definitely will continue to evolve, as we all will, and do, and continue to change. So nothing stays the same, and I'm so glad I can be grateful for my life, for myself, for my family now, and for all the people that have come, that have left, that are in my life. And if I didn't persevere at any point in time and only ended up knowing hell on earth but not heaven on earth, it would have completely eluded me what transformation, what miracles can happen between human beings. That even the nastiest devil can turn into a heavenly angel. So anything is possible. Really, it really, really is. The transformations humans are capable of when we allow it to happen by first choosing and taking action, no matter how small, is incredible. And anything small will all eventually build up. Even a small compliment to yourself will build up into an overwhelming sense of self-esteem and self-confidence and self-support over the years. If you just sustain it, maybe even just once a week, maybe daily, maybe 5 minutes a day, maybe once a week, 15 minutes, who knows? Go with what works for you. And just take it slow. Remember to breathe. Remember to take it slow. And remember to keep forgiving yourself, because we are so harsh on ourselves, and considering how much pain we have experienced in life, if we don't know how to accept, forgive, and let go, we cannot possibly love ourselves or come to understand who we are, come to understand the friendship possible with our own soul. We can't do that if we don't let go, if we don't forgive. So keep forgiving yourself, okay? Be kind to yourself. Be really compassionate with yourself. You are highly capable of it. It takes time, it takes practice, it takes cultivation, but you can get there, and you will get there. It just takes a lot of time. But don't give up. And know that you are always doing the best wherever you are at, whenever you can. And remember that other people are the same, that they are also doing the best at the level of consciousness that they are at as well. I hope with that you have enjoyed this session. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming into this channel, for watching this video. I hope that this has provided you much content and much peace, much hope, much inspiration, but more importantly, much truth, much deeper understanding and connection, and what is possible when you connect with yourself, when you choose yourself. Because yes, life does suck. Yes, sometimes our parents do suck. Yes, society does suck. But you can still choose you. You can choose to not suck to yourself. Essentially. Thank you. See you around. Goodbye. Namaste.